How did Labor Day work out for everybody? You know what I thought? I thought this for the last 3 years. We've always had We the People on Labor Day evening because our age group, we're done by, what, 2 or 3 in the afternoon on Labor Day?
Nap time.
So I figured, no problem. You know, we'll have 150 in the room. I put 150 seats out, and it looks like we have about 150 in the room, so this is great. I appreciate y'all being here. Who's new? Who's here for the first time? You all are. You got 5 or 6, 7 or 8? Good. Welcome. We are a radical right-wing group. The reason I say that, jestfully of course, is because anytime I tell anybody, hey, we've got a conservative group that meets the first Monday night of every month, what do you think people think? Oh my gosh, they're right-wing radicals. But you know what? We're not. We're conservative. We're right of center. We want the truth. And that's who we are. That's who we the people are. We are, we bring speakers out to bring us the truth on a lot of different subjects. I'll tell you who we are not. We're not the Republican committee.
That's right.
And I don't mean anything bad about that. I just want to make sure everybody knows that we are different because we cover a lot of different topics. Police, security, human trafficking, legal, health, politics, school board, racial divide, veterans, religion, youth, and I just added youth because we've Turning Point USA. Amanda is speaking tonight, and she's youth, and I'm glad to have her. But we cover a lot of different subjects, and I bring speakers out for these subjects to bring the truth to us. But I got to thinking last month that it might be 2 or 3 months before you hear something on health, or it might be 2 or 3 months before you hear something about human trafficking. So what we've decided to do is we decided to put a team captain together. A team captain on each one of these subjects. And at the beginning of each meeting, we will have the team captain give us an overview, a 5-minute overview of what's going on in that subject. So we can keep up to date with a calendar of events, Roger. Calendar of events, so we can keep people up to date on what's coming up and what's going on. And I'm picking on my friend Roger because he wanted to know when the movie was last Tuesday night. Well, I don't take pretty good notes, and we should have been able to put an email out to let everybody know, you know, that this free movie was playing at Dickinson Theater. So he kind of woke me up, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much. But we're going to hopefully have a calendar of events every 2 weeks that comes out on your email to let you know what's going on, because we might have a fundraiser coming up for ReHope, which is human trafficking. Or we might have something going on in another part of the city for a convention going on that Doug Billy's going to talk to us about coming up in November. But if we don't send you that updated calendar of events, a lot of us are going to forget about it, and we're not going to know. And I told Roger, and I was just being funny, Roger, when I said, I don't take notes. You know, I run the meeting, I don't take notes, but we do need someone to volunteer, someone that's very good at taking notes and writing dates down. No, you do too much, Donna. You're not good. I need someone that can do that for us. And Tara will explain how you can, she'll teach you how to do the email. But I need somebody to do that for us in this group. So when we have speakers, these 8 or 9 different speakers doing 5 minutes apiece, that person could be taking notes and writing dates down and that kind of stuff. So think about it, pray about it, help me out if you can. Who we are. We are We the People. A friend of mine 3.5 years ago says, Chuck, we need to get a gathering together. This is when the rioting was going on. And he's absolutely right. Because we were 2020, early in 2020, we were scared. We had all this rioting going on. They were telling the police to stand down. Nothing was getting done. They said they were coming out to suburbia. We could have had, a quick trip or something happen right here in Lee Summit or Blue Springs and get overrun. The policemen wouldn't even be able to handle it. A lot like what happened in St. Louis. What was the name of that town? Ferguson. Yeah. And people aren't prepared. And what we're trying to do is just make people aware, bring the truth, and educate the best we possibly can. As you come in, the new people, we do have asked for your email address. If you want us to send you an email a couple times a month to keep you up to date, fill out your email. We have a bowl of donations, a couple of bucks to help us pay the rent here. That's wonderful. And we have a book of business. The book of business is kind of hard to explain. Every one of us that own businesses, every one of us that have a business card, we put it in the book of business, and we try to refer to each other in the room, alike minds. We try to give alike minds the opportunity to come to our HVAC. Where is he? I saw him earlier. Yeah. Or our plumbing, or our heating and cooling, or our car repair, or so we've got some great people in the room that do that. So that's what the book of business is all about. So if you have a business card, you want to put it in there, Donna, hold your hand up. Donna runs the book of business for me, and she does a great job. But that way we're all, we're friends that get together once a month, but we're also promoting each other's business. That's what that's all about. I gotta look at my notes, Sarah.
Does it say national anthem on there?
Someplace.
Did it say what?
Or national anthem.
Prayer and national anthem.
Oh, yeah, I'm getting there. Thank you. I do this every time, I also have to do an advertisement for the building here. On a Monday night or a Wednesday, you can rent this hall for $200. On a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, you can rent this hall for $600. It's the least expensive hall that you can rent for any kind of event that you're having, upcoming or whatever. We the People has done a great job renting this hall and helping the club out here. So I wanted to talk about that. Facebook and YouTube. We're doing live Facebook. Hi, Facebook. We're doing live Facebook. So people at home can watch it on their Facebook page if they're a member of We the People. Tara does a great job filming it, and then the next day she puts it on YouTube. And so we do have some YouTube followers. We're hoping to grow that business also. So if you look up on YouTube, you look up We the People of Jackson County, Missouri. You can go back a month or 2 months or 3 months, and you can watch We the People from then also. If everybody would like to stand, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I've asked a friend, go ahead and stay standing. I've asked a friend if he wouldn't mind singing the national anthem for us.
With you all.
Thank you.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous night o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Was that incredible or what? We hadn't quite had that voice in the last year and a half. Thank you very much. Who wants to sing the next one next month? Come on, come on. You can do it. What I was telling you about earlier about our team captains, we're going to have some people come up here and update us 5 minutes for each one of them. We do have a timer. And please, when the timer goes off, you got to stop talking. It's just the rules. Let's start with Lance Pollard.
Prayer.
What?
Prayer.
Oh.
We'll keep him straight.
I do that every meeting.
He deliberately did that.
And he's a great friend of
He was
mine.
in church yesterday.
He's a great friend of mine.
He's had enough to hear listening.
Chuck's already prayed 3 hours today, so he forgot.
I was gonna say captain of religion, but something like that.
Captain of faith.
So he wants to be called the
A guardian of truth.
guardian of
Yes.
That was just kind of joke, but really, one of many. Jesus and the Holy Spirit are the guardian of the truth, obviously. And us that are Christians and proclaim the truth and stand for the truth we're standing on the line as guardians of the truth. Amen? And we have a responsibility to do that in our homes and our business places and wherever God lets us stand. Before we pray, I'm just reading a little bit from the little one-chapter book of 2 John. And most of you know that most of our New Testament books, a good portion of them, are letters that the early apostles wrote back to the churches that many of them had founded those churches, and they cared personally for them. So John writes in 2 John, he says, I was very glad to find some of your children, talking about the church folk, walking in the truth, just as we have received the commandment to do so from the Father. And so he goes on talking about many deceivers have gone out into the world, those who do not acknowledge Jesus Christ. And he talks here about that deceiver is really the spirit of the Antichrist. And then in the Gospels, Jesus talks a lot about what's going to come at the end of the age. And one of the things that he says that really has caught my attention in particularly the last 20 years, but even more so in the last 4 or 5 years, is the rapid rise of lawlessness. And Jesus actually said that that's one of the primary marks of the last days. He said in the last days, lawlessness will increase, and it'll cause the love of many to grow cold. And, I see that on every level. When our highest levels of government will not obey the law and will not honor the law, we know as a nation we are in deep trouble. So I want to encourage you, if you're a Christian, if you're a person of faith, pray. Pray for this nation. Pray that God will restore godly leaders in positions of authority. We have several in positions on lower levels, as you know. But we need the top levels of our government restored to positions, those positions of authority, the people who will stand for God, will stand for truth, will stand for righteousness, and will uphold the law. Because if we don't start upholding the law in this nation pretty quick, I'm afraid we're going to descend into total chaos. And that's going to be difficult for all of us, right? So let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening. We thank you for this opportunity. We thank you for this group of people. We thank you for the fact that in this nation we still have the privilege and the right to gather in groups like this and talk about important issues. And we pray that we'll always have that right. But Lord, I pray that you'll give us wisdom and give our speakers tonight clear communication, to be able to communicate with us what you want communicated. And Lord, we thank you that you are the Lord over this nation, over the world, over the universe. And we know that you are soon to come back, and we rejoice in that thought as well. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
Sorry, I forgot about you. That's okay. That's my favorite preacher that I've ever gone to church with. I'm just going to tell you that right now. I've told him week after week, month after month, I've never listened to a preacher like that. I always drift off. My mind's wandering, Chiefs games aren't news, whatever. But it's incredible. Right here at Summit Springs on 7 Highway, right next to Petland, and in the same strip mall as that
Salvation Army.
Salvation Army and that Korean restaurant, that Japanese restaurant.
Chinese.
Legend of Asia. So, I mean, he's just great. So if you don't have a church you're going to regularly, come to Tom's church. You won't regret it, I promise you. Okay, Lance, let's get started. We got about 6 or 7 people that are going to talk for 5 minutes. There is going to be a timer set. So you can kind of keep an eye on that every now and then.
Pastor, so I'll do my best. All right, my name is Lance Pollard. I serve on the Board of Education in Great Valley. I've been here a few times, first part of the year, so I'd like to thank Chuck and We the People and Steve and Teresa McBride. If it weren't for you all in this room, I would not be standing here. School districts are very large organizations. Lee Summit has an operating budget of $220 million, 17,000 students. Green Valley, we have an operating budget of $62 million, right at 5,000 students. A train can be turned as long as the right tracks are placed in front of it. So when I became elected, my goal was to help place the correct tracks in front of the train. And I quickly became known as the book guy. I made a social... I ran on common sense and I won, just to show you how uncommon common sense is. So, by 6 votes. All right, I got to hurry. Okay, I got 4 minutes. You add 5 more seconds. Good job. Okay, so I was like, man, nobody's heard of me. I'm a small business owner in Green Valley. I just need somebody to hear me. Let's start there. So I made a Facebook post. Sexually explicit content does not belong in Green Valley School District. In the post. Then people were like, those books don't exist. You're right-wing, conspiracy, fascist, Nazi, conservative, white male. I'm like, what are you talking about? So I'm like, well, I'll just put together a little list of some of the books I found in the school. So I put together about 100 books. I put that list out. There you go. Chapter and verse, right? Well, you can't raise our kids. You can raise your own kids, but you can't raise our kids. Like, all right, we're going to have to get more common sense than this. So I ran on certain things, and so I believe in doing what you say you're going to do. So I got the discussion on the agenda in June's board meeting, workshop, June 1st. 5 weeks after the election, we were talking about it. And I very quickly realized that sometimes the only thing you do is just right. Let's just get back to common sense. So I just pulled out the policy and I said, hey, I want to know if you all think that these library books and others like them meet the criteria for selection of materials. Let's just start there. Provide materials that will enrich and support the curriculum. Don't meet that one. Provide materials that will stimulate growth in factual knowledge. Nope. Provide background information that will enable students to make intelligent judgments. Nope. Provide materials on the opposing sides of controversial issues. Nope. Place principle above personal opinion and reason above prejudice. Nope. Material should have permanent or timely values. Nope. Information should be accurate. Material should be presented in a clear manner. Material should be authoritative. Material should have significance. 9 months ago, I made that post, and all I'm trying to do is just to get one person, one administration, one teacher, one librarian, one community member to tell me how these books benefit minors in our district. Just one. and I haven't had one response yet. But the good news is it got the discussion going. That post hit almost 14,000 views. School districts from the Kansas side started calling me. On the Missouri side started calling me. Where did you get the list? How did you do it? We want to get these books age appropriate. I never said I wanted a bonfire out in front of the elementary school. I said age appropriate. Age appropriate. The same thing came up. Well, do we not trust our librarians? No. Okay, but I'm elected official. I can't really say that now. So what I say now is, well, if we trust our teachers, then why do we need administration? If we trust our administration, then why do we need school board? It has nothing to do with trust, necessarily, but it's common sense. It's age appropriate. It's age appropriate, and some of these are not appropriate for any age.
Right.
Let alone 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds. I got 20 seconds. In closing, the good news is a lot of people have opened their eyes, and here in the very, very near future, in the next month and a half, the school board in Green Valley will be given a report on the findings from the library and the administration. So I will be back, and I will keep you posted. After the close.
You know what I told Lance earlier today? I said, my gosh, we've been trying to do this in Lee Summit for a couple of years, and Green Valley's going to beat us. And trust me, if that happens in Green Valley, which I'm sure it will, that will set a precedence.
Yes.
For the next school, and the next school, and the next school. So, Lance, thank you so very much. I appreciate it. Sean, where are you, Sean? There you are.
I did the back.
I saw you come in.
Thank you, Chuck. So, Sean Smith, I am one of 9 Jackson County legislators. I've spoken here a few times, so hopefully won't have to go too much into my backstory. But on the legislature, I serve as one of 2 Republicans that helped to govern Jackson County. The other 7 of us are Democrats. So that makes things interesting. Last time I spoke, I believe my focus was largely on the assessment issues and appeals. People, just out of curiosity, how many people are homeowners that are here tonight? Most. And how many people like the assessed value of their home for 2023? 1. He's like, oh, I better shut up. I don't want to tell anybody. The appeal process is continuing. For those of you who might not have caught the most recent news, the legislative body, sponsored by me, did invite the Missouri State Auditor to come and audit the assessment process and the appeal process. This was a pretty good win. Now, audit doesn't mean that we know what his findings are going to be, or that we know they're going to be in time. So I remind people, still appeal. If you're appealing, keep appealing, right? But just know that an audit might take some time. There's a couple other things happening. Wednesday, there will be a meeting of the Board of Equalization where they're going to contemplate what to do about something that we as a legislative body put forth. We told the BOE, you need to stop just looking at individual appeals and consider the fact that we've seen a lot of examples of errors more broadly. The BOE does have within their power, as does Frank White, who's chosen to not use that power, but the BOE does have within their power the idea that they can issue, instead of just individual appeal judgments, they can issue a broad equalization order. They can say, things got so screwed up this year that we're going to fix them somehow. They still have to assess your values and decide what to do, but they have within their power the ability to do more than just hear individual appeals. On Wednesday, I'm scheduled, I think, to talk to them if they send me the meeting invite properly, and I don't know what the outcome will be. So again, continue your individual appeals, we're still trying. The last leg of the stool that I'll talk about briefly is the levy rates. So, your homeowner's property taxes are made up of two major components, right? One being whatever the assessed value of your home is. Many of you think that we might have gotten that wrong this year. But the other component is levy rates that are set by, first and foremost, your school district. So how many Lee Summit School District folks? And Donna, do we know yet the date of the levy hearing?
A handout right there.
There you go.
I made copies, and there's some up in the bowl.
So Donna has a handout with print on it so small that I'm not going to try to read it without my readers. But you can see that there's dates here for the various schools. Well, you can't see, but if I hold it far enough, I can. There's dates for the various school districts, cities. So the idea is show up at your, say, school district meeting. And with you knowing what your assessed value is, look at that bill, or the proposed bill that we put out, it's kind of an estimate early on, and tell them exactly where the levy rate needs to be for you to be okay. Don't say we just need it to be lower. So if your assessed value went up to $200,000 and last year it was $100,000, and you want to pay the same taxes, if the levy rate was 5% last year, well then it needs to be 2.5% this year. Pick a few people in the audience, find out what it would mean to somebody that's on a fixed income, or somebody that's really going to be challenged by it, and explain very, very clearly to those folks what it means if they don't lower their levy rate. Because the idea here is to make a revenue neutral levy rate, but the fact is that with the assessed values all over the place, it's extremely, extremely challenging. So put the biggest challenge in front of them that you can, and that is the people who got the highest increase and are least able to pay. Last thing I'll say is that there's other actions taking place within the county relative to things around the sports stadium, relative to whether or not we want our current county executive to continue, that kind of stuff. There's all kinds of other things that are happening in the county. I just encourage you guys, check my Facebook page. I try to keep you up to date on things after our first weekly meeting, or after our weekly meetings on Mondays. And just really, we can push this county without too much extra effort into a better place. Everybody's talking about leaving the county. I would just say, give it a minute and stay in the fight for a little bit longer.
We need 7 more like Sean.
Yes,
The county legislator. There's 2 conservatives out of 9. You know, he gets voted down all the time, but he's working harder than anybody I've ever known to do it for us. So thank you, Sean. I appreciate that. Storm?
It's okay to make it tonight. Okay, show of hands, how many people went to see Sound of Freedom? Okay, another show of hands. Does anybody, how many people have you guys reached out and said, now what do we do with that information? Lots of people. Okay, I have a lot of people that have asked me. So, pull up my thing here. I want to make sure I get it right. She just sent it to me this morning. All right. So, Rehope, they're having a, let's see, we need to do it, okay, we need to raise $500 because somebody from our group, we don't know who, maybe Chuck, is gonna rappel down over Overland Park and Marriott. So maybe basically it'd be Rachel and me, or even maybe Lance, Dylan Schneider. We're gonna rappel, but we need to raise $500. It's October 7th, 8 to 5. Not only do we need to raise $500 for this event to help ReHope, and if you guys don't know, ReHope is, they help survivors of human trafficking. It is from 8 to 5, they need volunteers as well. So if you don't want to rappel, you can also show up or get online and sign up for volunteering. And let me see, what else did she say? I think that's it. I think I did, I think that's all. So,
Is there a fundraising page?
yeah, well, she said to get online and make the checks made out payable to ReHope, memo over the edge, and put We the People or whatever, so they know who to.
How much will it cost us to pay not to jump?
For Lance Dylan Schneider, for him not to repel, $2,000. So thank you.
Thank you, Storm. I'm really afraid of heights. More than that, I'm afraid of widths. I didn't go over as well as I thought. Sorry about that. That's actually one of my favorite comedians is a very dry sense of humor. Anyway, so I'm in Vegas a few years ago, and I was the only one that enjoyed it. I took like 6 people to this show. Stephen Wright, does anybody know who Stephen Wright is? I took like 6 people to the show. I was the only one that enjoyed it. Everybody else was going, oh my gosh. Anyway, who's next? Let's go with Teresa.
I'm going to have Carolyn come up with me.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, yes. Thank you, Chuck, we appreciate that. I'm Teresa McBride. I'm the Vice Chair of the Jackson County Republican Committee, and this is Carolyn Caton. She's the Secretary for the Jackson County Republican Committee, so we've been pretty busy lately. First of all, we want to thank Chuck and We the People for letting us speak tonight, and all of your support and activity on behalf of the party and the conservative issues that we put forth every day. We try. We've got a lot of issues that are very, very concerning to us, to all of us, and we need to go together as a group and fight this. We have a recall petition, if anybody has ever seen that tonight. We filled up all of our pages. I can't believe it, so I'm going to have to bring back some more next month. Yeah, we'll have it next meeting. There's some at our headquarters on 40 Highway in Blue Springs. If you want to stop by there, get a free pin, and the festivals. We've got festivals coming up. I'll let Carolyn talk about that in a minute. But the petition, I don't know if anybody was a little bit confused about it. There was a little bit of confusion on whether we could do a recall or not. Somebody was saying it had to go through the legislation, and it does not. Anybody that wants to start a petition, a citizen and registered voter in our county, can start one, and that's what we've done. It will take 20%, at least 20% of the votes cast to be able to go forward with the petition. So we don't know, I don't know how much that is.
Yeah, we would need 43,000 petition signatures, and our goal is at least 60, because we know there could be duplicates or people putting inaccurate information. A question I was asked tonight about, I signed a petition online. That is not the official petition. That will not help anything at all. You need to sign the petition that was brought here tonight. It was drafted by legal, and it is valid and the only official petition that will count. So if you sign one online, great, because spread the word, but to make your vote count, we need you to sign this petition. We will have it here at We the People next time, and we will be at every fair. Next weekend is Grain Valley, the following weekend is Fall Fun Fest, the following weekend is Buckner, I believe, and then the last weekend in September is Oak Grove. Oh, excuse me, Oak Grove, right, yes.
Carolyn, is that registered voters or voted at the last?
It's registered voters, and you have to live in Jackson County. Those are the only two things. We don't need a photo ID. So what happens, one question, let me finish one thing and I'll come right to you. So when we have our collection of signatures, we turn them in to be notarized. Then they go to the Secretary of State, the election board, check to the board first, and then I believe the Secretary for confirmation they are valid. And then once we have the 43,000, then we get to get that out of office. All right. Right, I'm valid. Yes.
So at the Fall Fun Fest, you guys will have a booth that will say.
Yes, we have it says Jackson County Republican Party on it, and we will be there.
Red?
The sign is white, and there's an elephant, and then it says Jackson County Republican Party. Sometimes the sign is very high up, and sometimes it's actually on the table. It kind of depends on who's there to set up. We're working on those procedures. Yes.
For clarity, who are we calling? I think
Frank White, our executive, whatever you want to call him.
County executive.
Yes.
There's a lot of confusion with having signed online Sean Smith's bring the auditor for the assessment. So there's like, just on 2 pages, there's like 7,000.
Yeah, there's 2 different ones, and yes. Yeah, we're not.
At the office and at the things, are you gonna sell these shirts and others?
Yes, I was gonna call you up, so thank you for that. You're ahead of me. Come up, just demonstrate. So we are selling these shirts as part of our fundraiser. We've got 2 different ones. We have one that says "Never Surrender."
Might not look this good.
And we also have one that says "Not Guilty," and we have them primarily in black. We do have some white ones, and we also have the Trump shirts as well. That, you know, let's take America back and America great and some other good things. Yeah. And if you want, we can actually bring them here and sell them, so you don't have to go to the fairs.
That's an idea.
They're donations. We're not selling. They're donations. And the mugshot shirts are $35. The Trump shirts are $25. So we'll bring those up. But just remember, we need to get this particular petition signed. And yes, we can do this. We do not need the legislative, Jackson County Legislative to approve that. Okay? Yes. I don't have an accountant. We have so many people helping us. We will have volunteers actually out at Walmart's and Kohl's and those kinds of places. So we need volunteers if you'd like to help with that. My time is up, but if you have anything, come see me after. Thank you.
Is there a deadline? Once we get.
Hey, when I said earlier that we are not the Republican committee, no offense. Because we love you all. Thank you for reporting. And we will always have you report every month to us. Christy.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to give a report on Mike Lindell's election summit meeting that happened about a week and a half. So if you weren't there, did anybody watch it online? How many want fair and honest elections? Locally, statewide, federal-wide, right? What have they told us over and over again? The machines aren't connected to the internet. The machines aren't connected to the internet. So this summit was about informing people. People came from all over the United States. I thought it was just going to be Missouri people because evidently they were there last year, but I wasn't there. So anyway, people came from all over the United States to hear what's going on in their state, to hear stories about how we can have victory. How many of you know that our Missouri legislator in 1977, they came up with a system that we can hand count ballots? We can hand count ballots. There's a way to do it. There's a specified way that they decided that we could do it. We were looking for a county clerk in the county that would actually do an actual election and count these ballots, and a lot of pushback because these people have been in control for a long time and they don't want to give up the power to we the people. But we the people are powerful and we have the power according to our Constitution. So there was a county, Osage County actually did hand counting for one of their elections, and the prescribed method is, there's a lot of disinformation out there, you start counting the ballots an hour after the polls open. They finished before the little machines got done with their little activities and all of that, and they proved, and that set a precedence like what Chuck is talking about. Now we want all the counties in Missouri, we want hand-counted ballots, we want no machines, and we want same-day elections, right? What I learned at this convention was they talked about the machines and how corrupt they are and how they can store little, we remember the voter rolls are always inflated. Oh, we removed 800 people from the voter rolls or 1.2 million from the voter rolls. Then all of a sudden they go back up. And we learned what they're doing is that they're getting fandom voters. They're just making people up. Remember they used to kind of lie? They just outright lie now. Making people up, dead people, all of this, storing them in little folders. They use the early voting to determine how many ballots they need. So when we all show up and do early voting, they get the plan to game the system on us and to boot us out of our rights according to the Constitution. So that's why we need no machines, same-day voting, paper ballots, and hand counting. So we went through every state, what they're doing, what they found out, the legislation that they're passing, and Mike Lindell said that he was going to make a very important announcement, and it was going to come at the end of the second day or something like that. So they flew in this little drone. This drone flies in, and it has this little machine, and it's called a WND. And it's a wireless network detection device. It's about the size of the hand. So when they told us this isn't connected to the internet, we can bring these into the places, into the polling places and all that, and it will tell which machines are all connected to the internet, which phones are connected to the internet that are trying to feed information to the machines, and it catches them right in the act, right? It makes them say, oh, I guess they're connected to the internet. Yeah. So Louisiana is going to have an election in November, and they're going to use these WNDs at this election to set a precedence and say, oh, we found out you're connected to the internet now. And all these people, and we've gathered all that little machine that's about the size of my hand, gathers all of this information, and it tracks it, and it sends it to the people that need to help us. So that we have evidence to go through in the court cases. If you're not on Frank Speech, how many of you are on so many? I'm on all these social media networks. I don't want to be on another one. You need to get on Frank Speech. You need to watch the convention and get the information because we're going to have these in all of the counties. They're going to do crowdfunding so we can get them in Jackson County, all over the place. Everybody has one. So all over the United States, we are monitoring these elections and we are catching them in the act so that it can be reported back. So it goes forward in court cases so that we can have fair and free elections, right? So, yes.
Do they have to send ballots after that, after the clock?
Wait, yes, that's what the push is going to be. But I believe that we're going to have hand ballots. Some way or another, we're going to have hand ballots. It's not a county decision. It's a commissioner's, not a clerk's decision. All of these clerks can decide that they will do hand counting if they want to. But remember, you might want to call the Secretary of State because Mike Lindell and Dr. Frank met with him and said, why can't we do this? Why can't we do this? A lot of pushback from the Secretary of State. You would think common sense, right, like the pastor talked about, that we would, why don't we have hand counting? It always worked in the past. So we are going to have, I want you to get on Frank's Speech and sign up. And I want to remind you, always bring this flag.
Yeah.
That's right.
Thank you, everyone. Get on Frank's Speech and remember, no machines. If somebody's running for election, you ask them, do you want machines? I don't want any machines. I want hand counting and I want paper ballots. If they say no to that, we don't want you.
Any of the speakers that are planning on being here at 9 o'clock, if you have any questions for them, just tackle them at 9 and they'll answer your questions for you. Scott O'Brien, you in the room? Yep. There he is. What I've been doing is I've been trying to introduce every conservative group in the Kansas City area to We the People so we can all work together, and Scott oversees one of the big Facebook pages, and I wanted him to introduce himself.
It's kind of a Jackson County GOP committee night because I'm also a member of the Jackson County GOP committee representing Perry Township along with Storm and Sean.
Mike Morris.
But we do have there are lots of other people. I was thinking Prairie Township people, but yes, I feel like it's Monday all over again when we had our committee meeting. So you also might know me as Scott for Southeast JaCo. So if you ever follow We the People on Facebook, that's where I put all my content. That's what I post from. But I have a separate group that I'm one of the co-administrators for. It has almost 4,000 people. It's JaCo Parents Association. So any of you guys members of the JaCo Parents Association? okay, Facebook page. So, kind of like Chuck with We the People back in 2020 when lockdowns and masking were happening and people were really becoming aware of what was going on in their schools and they were fighting for autonomy for their children's health. That's kind of what the genesis of the page was. Over the last 3 years, it has evolved into, we worked together, me and the co-administrators, and we created a new value statement for the page, which you can go to and read our conservative values. We don't want pornography in the schools either. We're one board election away and we summit from that. And by the way, just on that note, the Florida law is phenomenal because if you're not aware of the Florida law, as Chuck went to go read back in, was that January at a school board meeting, if you are cut off, if your microphone is cut off or they stop you from reading, whatever book you were reading from is out of the library.
Wow.
So we act in that, yes.
It's Florida Bill, House Bill 1069, if you want to send that to your elected officials and say, page 7, read it and pass that in Missouri.
And I did I think I posted on We People, but I definitely did on JaCo Parents Association. Yeah, I did on both. So if you go to We the People Facebook page, we did it there. Ask your representatives. There is no reason why we can't have this in Missouri and give us the power, because if you can't read it in a school board meeting, then it should not be in the library. That's as clear cut as you can get it. So we put out a lot of information on school board elections. That's kind of, we've pivoted to be more focused on school board elections and school issues, things like all the fights in schools that start at the start of the year. There's all the videos, and then vaping in bathrooms, the books issue, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Lee Summit calls it belonging. It's anything but belonging. It's excluding. When you see belonging, it means excluding. And I'll tell you, in a school board, or in the school district, if you're a student and you have teachers and sessions that go in and say, hey, the system is by nature discriminatory and oppressive, and you are part of the system unless you're actively working against it, well, the teacher is part of that system. Yeah. So what kind of respect do we expect the children to show to the school teachers that are there trying to teach after they've heard this message being taught that the system is against them? Well, then why respect the system? So we work in our school districts. Primarily, a lot of us are in Lee Summit, so that's our main focus. But we are looking for, not we, me personally, but Lee Summit School District, if we need, there'll be 2 seats up for election in April. So you've got to make sure, if you're interested, best case scenario, we're looking for mama bears with kids in the district. Look to run, and we will support on social media, handing out flyers, things like that. But it's a good way. It's not just, it's Green Valley schools. Any district in Jackson County, we really support and put information out there. So, thank you.
What's the name of that Facebook page again?
It's JaCo Parents Association.
JaCo Parents Association.
And we do a lot. We screen the people who show up. We're very strict. So if you're like here and you're like, hey, I heard you, private message me. That way I can kind of lead you through the screening process. So we try to create a safe space.
Right. We the People of Jackson County, Missouri's Facebook page doesn't do as good a job screening the people coming in. So I employ each and every one of you to let me know when something's not right. And I will delete and block quickly, because we don't need it. We don't need it on our Facebook page. We want to keep it positive and keep it conservative. And So, anyway, our next is, Patrick. The reason I invited Patrick, I started a new category called current events.
Today.
I started today. And I'm gonna let Patrick let you know what's going on and what has happened, and just hit it direct there. It's current events.
Yes, we've got some great speakers tonight. Thank you for all of your updates. So yeah, Chuck asked me to give a quick community update a few hours ago, and I said, okay, well, I've got one recent example that I experienced last week, and I think the group might want to know about. So I know everybody's probably aware of all of the drag show events that are becoming more prevalent in our society. We've heard some rumors about, Lee Summit maybe hosting a few of these. So last Sunday after church, I was driving through our beautiful downtown, right at 3rd Street, right there at the Douglas Street intersection. Beautiful day, families out, lots of kids, gorgeous day. I drive by Brick's Grub and Pub. I've only been in there once, I'll never go there again. And right there inside the glass storefront were 3 nearly naked men dancing. It was very close to, so this is something you would see in a strip club, on the side of I-70 or something. So I pulled over, I said, okay, I need to get this on camera, call the police department. So I pulled over, their first show of the day had ended, so that was done. I walked around back. There were about 30 of them out back dressed in their demonic costumes, dancing, drinking, all kind of fun stuff. So, I tried to get a few pictures, tried to get some evidence. I called the police department. They didn't want anything to do with it, so they ended up sending 3 officers down to address the situation. They went in, asked if there were any minors, anything like that. I expressed my complaint about, you can see this from the street.
Yeah.
It's all out there. There's nothing but a piece of glass separating that from the community. I thank them for that. Just 2 things, I guess, for this audience. Number 1, stay out of that dump. Tell your friends, tell your family that, don't take your business there. And number 2, if you're downtown on Saturday, these are monthly events that they have on their Instagram page. So be watching for them. There's one in September. If you're downtown on Sunday and you see that happening, get out, take pictures. The police department needs evidence of either nudity or minors in the area. I saw a couple people that may or may not have been, under the age of 18 there. So,
They have a back patio, right?
Yes, there is so their show was happening up front where everybody on the street could see it, but they do have a back patio, which.
You can just take a picture of them dragging out back, you can't do that.
Well, yeah, that's true. So they've got a little fenced-in area out back, tables and chairs and stuff like that, but there are a couple of doors, so yeah, you're exactly right. And that's where I stood for a while with the police officer to see if anybody would come out in, something too inappropriate to be in public. So anyway.
What was the name of the business?
Yeah, it's called Brick's Grub and Pub, right there at 3rd Street downtown, right there by the Douglas Street. Yeah, 3rd and Douglas.
Do they sell tickets for that?
So yes, they sell tickets. It's an invite only, private invite. You have to sign up on Instagram.
Didn't she or somebody try to buy all the tickets at the time? Do you know how that works? To make, so nobody actually shows up?
Yeah, good question. So the question was, there was an event a few months ago, I believe, that was announced around here. There was an effort to buy up all the tickets so that there would be nobody show up. I think that was the one that was over in Warrensburg, maybe. And I think there was somebody from our group actually that went over to Warrensburg, spoke to the city council. I think they got that one shut down at least for a month. From what I heard, there were some minors that had been in attendance at that show.
They had a family drag show at Crane Brewing several months ago. So.
Family drag show.
Right?
Isn't that nice?
Crane Brewing in Raytown. Yeah.
Wow. We need a book of non-business. So, anyway, thank you.
No, you're good. I wanted that last minute to talk about this. Sunday morning at 10:30, when Lee Summit is in church, we got this show going on at bricks. What a slap in the face. I know. But not only that, they were in the glass. They were in the glass, dancing to where people driving by could see. This is not Amsterdam.
No.
This is Lee Summit, Missouri. And I'm so frustrated with all this, you know. What people do behind closed doors is their own business, but keep it behind closed doors, right? So anyway, thank you. Current events. I like that category. First one, pretty current. I know we talk about things and we're very direct with our conversations because we want you to know. I like the format that we're doing right now to where we have all the categories and everybody can talk about them. I do have some youth in the room. Don't I, Amanda?
Yes.
Amanda took a job recently, and I'm gonna let her tell you about it, but she's with Turning Point USA. And I started the category also called Youth. Amanda's got that category wrapped up.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Amanda Wiley. I've been here a couple times, so a lot of you probably recognize me. I'm actually from south of Warrensburg, but I am the high school coordinator for the Kansas City area for Turning Point USA. So basically my main goal is to help students get involved and start chapters or hubs and just get engaged in politics. I already got my first chapter started on Friday, I think, so that's pretty cool. It's in Belton High School. It's not a chapter yet because their school's a little bit weird, but we're working on it. And then I got a couple more in the works. So basically, well, I guess I should kind of tell you guys my backstory of how I got involved with Turning Point. It's pretty simple. I was at the Charlie Kirk event in Kansas City last fall, and someone was there from the high school department, and they found me, and they're like, "You should start a chapter," and I was like, "Okay," and I did. And everyone asked me, "Was like, were you ever like persecuted, or did people like make fun of you?" No, it was really easy because I was homeschooled, so everyone liked me. Yeah, but it's basically that simple. So I have the table back there, and I have my business cards, which have my email and phone number on them. Please take that. You can also sign up. I can't guarantee that I'll reach out to you. If you sign up, but please do put your name and information down. And if you're an educator or you're involved with homeschool groups or anything along those lines, please come talk to me because I would love to help get chapters started and get students involved. Also, if you have Instagram, you can follow the Kansas City Instagram. I am not in it yet because I can't find the password because Callie, you probably remember Callie, who had it before, she can't remember the password, so we're working on that right now. But it's TPUSA_HS_KC. And then also, America Fest is in December. There's a sign back there, more information. Please come, it's awesome. It's like the biggest freedom party of the year. And then two things I wanted to mention. My cousin, JoJo Wiley, she recently started up a chapter at UCM down in Warrensburg. And so if you have any kids or grandkids going to college there, you know, I give them my information, I can get them plugged in with her. And then also Jack, who's a friend of mine, he's the president of the UMKC chapter. I just wanted to shout them out because they're doing some cool things.
Yay.
So yeah.
Amanda. Can I go forward with this?
Yeah.
I've been in contact with Amanda, and she's going to be presenting a presentation on her TPUSA stuff at our open forum at our Jackson County Republican Committee. It's the open forum that is before our meeting, and it starts at 6 o'clock, and Amanda and Jack are going to be speaking there.
Yes.
October 23rd.
Yes, I texted Jack and I was like, "You should come to this," and he was like, "Oh, okay," so he's coming, so that'll be fun.
Thanks, Amanda.
You know, if Amanda would invite like 10 or 15 more youth,
Yes.
it would bring our average age down a year or two. And when she said children, grandchildren, I was waiting for great-grandchildren, but that didn't happen, so thank you.
Anybody under 40 help.
Yeah, we need you. We need you. You're doing a great job. We appreciate it. Last but not least, Lee, come on up. I think this is going well with these categories, don't you all?
Yeah.
Yes.
I like it.
What category is this?
I don't know.
I'm fixing to tell you. So my name is Lee, my last name is Phillips. I am the manager, the founder, the spokesperson, and the treasurer for Concerned Citizens of Independence, Missouri PAC. Thank you. So I'm going to try to do this quickly, just to let you know, the half sheets that I'm about to show you on screen are over here. And this lovely little map that I'm about to explain to you is also over there for you guys to look at. So we are a grassroots, God-fearing, gun-toting movement in independence. So I am here to talk a little bit about the rezoning issues that we're all having. The lovely mixed-use cluster homes. These are some things that we don't want happening. They tend to take down our home ownerships, period, and things along those lines. But they're going around telling everybody that, oh, it's not going to change your zoning. Flat lie. If it overlays your current zoning, it will change your current zoning. The first step was throwing Airbnbs into the neighborhoods one at a time, and now it's become something incredibly nefarious. And we are dealing with the Inglewood Arts Overlay in Independence. I can't see my own computer, hold on. I don't fall in the young category. So it's all a part of the UN 2030 project, and in Kansas City, it's spearheaded by a guy named Dennis Strait, who works for Gould Evans out of Kansas City, Missouri, and it's funded by the Mid-America Regional Council, and that's important. Yeah, ready for this one? All right, on my city council, regarding 15-minute cities, my council members that are involved are Mayor Rory Rowland, John Perkins in District 1. We are endorsing Colleen Huff, by the way, for 2024, our PAC. So if you guys can help support her, that'd be much appreciated. We also have District 4, Dan Hobart. We're looking for candidates in all of these areas in the next couple of years. So if you guys know people in Independence that are willing to step up and hold the line, send them our way. Bridget McCandless, our brand new at-large. She's about as liberal radical as you can get. We're going to get rid of her. We only have 2 conservatives on our city council right now. District 2, Bryce Stewart. Granted, he's a little bit meek, but we're working on him. We're going to try to keep him if we can, unless we find a better candidate. So if you got somebody, send him. District 3, Mike Steinmeier is also a conservative. He is not running again in 24. Desperately need help because we have some strange ones coming up. And then, of course, we have my personal favorite, Mr. Jellyfish, Jared Fears. I've known him all my life, and he's a jellyfish. Just wanted to throw that in there. This is what's happening in Independence. In the circle is a purple area called the Inglewood Arts District. They've put together a proposal, and they notified exactly 185 feet outside the boundary of their lovely little district, which was 498 people trying to cover 5,000 homes. I live over here. Colleen Huff lives over there. None of us got invited to that meeting. So hopefully we've stalled that long enough so we can install some better people in 2024 and stop this process from happening. We have a petition online. It's not legal, but it hopefully will get us in front of the city council. And we're hoping it'll get us in front of Sean Smith and the legislature at the county at some point, all the way back in the back. So this is the information that's on that half sheet. Tells you exactly what we've done. Prairie Village is having the same issue. We borrowed from them. You guys can borrow from us because we're all going to share, or we're going to twist some arms to get them to share. And this is our plan of action. The idea is we want limited rezoning. We want single-family residential zoning means 1 family, not 2. Two-family residential zoning in Independence, which is R12, is a duplex, not two individual homes. Cluster homes where they put them all together in a little horseshoe, give you a little fire pit, and everybody goes, hello, every morning. That sucks. And we also want to force only one lot being rezoned at a time, not 5,000 lots, okay? So that's our goal, and that way at least we can gauge what's going on, what's going to happen. And each homeowner keeps the due process rights of notice. Now, when they did an Airbnb across the street from me 2 years ago, I fought for 2.5 years on an Airbnb with the city council right after a stroke. So what happened was we had a 6-0 no vote in the planning commission against approval. We had our second legal and valid protest. We're the only ones in Independence who have actually done the paperwork to make that happen twice. And they still threw it under the consent agenda, approved it anyway, and now I'm looking at an Airbnb across the street from my house. So they're nefarious, they're snakes, and they're gonna do whatever it takes. So I'll let you guys go. The rest of the information is on here. But here again is what we're up to. This is what we want to share with you guys. And if you need any help or any suggestions or want any information, just give us a call.
You know, when they told me what was going on in Prairie Village and in Independence, it's coming our way. Donna says it already is. But, and I know that Airbnb is kind of a current way of renting a house instead of getting a hotel or whatever the case might be. But when they start putting more than one house on a lot, or starting putting little houses, tiny houses on a lot to get more and more in there to make it income. You know, I own a real estate company. Most HOAs are not even in effect anymore, especially in the older neighborhoods. So it's hard to go to your HOA and follow the rules there because most of them, they built all the houses and 20 years later the HOA is not in effect anymore. So we were hoping on the newer HOAs, sure, you can go and fight there. But keep your eyes and ears open on this. This was a last minute presentation. Thank you, Lee, for coming. And we will keep an eye out for all that that's going on and try to fight it also. I've invited a friend of mine. He's 5 years younger than me, but I look younger than him. We actually went to Grandview High School together. I graduated in 75, he graduated in 80.
81.
81. 6 years. Doug Billings has one of the largest podcasts in America. It's called The Right Side with Doug Billings. Yep. And how many followers do you have on your podcast?
7 million a month that we'll watch.
7 million a month are watching his. They're calling him the new Rush Limbaugh. He goes around all over the country with a lot of national speakers. My Pillow Guy, General Flynn, and all these people on stage talking about all this, and he's doing an incredible job. And I'm very happy to call you my friend and introduce you tonight. Doug Billings.
How about a hand for Chuck? I'm so proud of him, what he's done. Yes, I started my show 3 years ago in the midst of the COVID nonsense that we all endured after having been the Vice President of Human Resources for a company called HCA, which owns and operates hospitals. And when they were dealing with 10,000 deaths, remember the days when 10,000 deaths was like a big deal for them? And I made a big stink about, well, if we put 10,000 people in Arrowhead Stadium, there's the staff. Now, what about the family? I mean, in other words, it's an insignificant number. To make a long story short, they wanted me to write policies that would sequester and keep people away from healthcare facilities. You can't go visit your mom and dad. You can't go get preventative care, get masked up, get the jab, et cetera, et cetera. And I said no to all of that because I looked at the data and it didn't match up. At the time, when 10,000 people dead, I said, how many of those death certificates do we have access to? We're the largest owner and operator of hospitals in the world. How many do we have access to those 7,000 or those 10,000 people? 7,000 was the answer to that question. We did an in-depth analysis on those 7,000 people that supposedly died of COVID. And I wanted to know who really died of COVID when it was the primary cause of death, right? Not the guy who was in a motorcycle accident, but he had COVID, so they listed as such, right? Because we know that happened. So of the 7,000 people who died of COVID, how many of them do you think, 7,000, how many people died of COVID when it was the primary cause of death? Who said 3? I like the way you're thinking. 120 out of 7,000. Of those 120 people, every one of them was over the age of 78. So I do a presentation. It was a very lovely presentation to the executive committee, and 2 weeks later I was fired. True story. And so I start the right side with Doug Billings, and it takes a few weeks and months and so forth to get its legs. But I just concluded my 4th meeting with President Trump last week. And we met up at Bedminster in New Jersey. We talk about vice presidents, and we talk about the state of the people's minds, and I tell him about this group, I really do. And he wants to know what's going on in Jackson County, Missouri, and he wants to know what's on the minds of people. So whenever I meet with him, I tell him. I travel the country with a guy by the name of Clay Clark and General Michael Flynn. It's the Reawaken America tour, etc. A lot of other people on that tour. And Trump, I just want to tell you, for those of you that may love the man like I do, there has never been a more substantial president in this country than President Donald Trump. I can tell you that. Now, I don't know where all of you fall within that. I know there are people, maybe even in this room, that might not want to vote for President Trump again. But here's my opinion. I'm going to talk about a conference that we're going to have in November as well. I want to invite you to it. President Trump is the only person that anybody in this room or in the Republican Party should vote for. He's the only man that can do this job. He's already proven it once. And I can tell you that this fictitious nonsense that he's facing, especially from Georgia, is based on his First Amendment right to give his opinion about election fraud and integrity, and to state his opinion about a number of other things, about people involved. In Georgia, there's a movement. We have legislators in this room. In Georgia, they're making a move now to impeach and get rid of Fannie Willis. And it's got steam behind it. However, they have a rhino governor, Brad. Who? Brad Kemp. Brian Kemp. And we have a rhino secretary or a attorney general by the name of Chris Carr, who aren't going. They could put an end to this indictment today if they would just go along with the Republican legislature, but they won't do it. Now, how does that have to do? What does that have to do with us? We have a rhino problem. We have an incredible rhino problem, and I heard so much. We are surrounded by stories tonight that really involve this chaos that's around us, that's purposely thrust upon us by the Communist Socialist Party. There is no more Democratic Party in the United States elected class, ladies and gentlemen. They have blended communism and socialism together. They are not a pro-America political party. Evidence of the obvious is sufficient. Just look at what they're doing. All the stories that we heard tonight that have to deal with pornography in schools, transgender men dancing half naked in storefront windows, all of it. It's because we are surrounded by this coalition of immorality. And that's what they are. They are anti-God. They are anti-America. And I have said on the show, and I'll say it here tonight, it's on the record, you cannot be a Democrat and be a Christian. It's impossible. It is absolutely impossible. Partial birth abortion, let's let the baby be halfway born and then snip its spinal cord. It's barbaric, it's medieval. Now, the Republican Party is not perfect, but at least we strive to be better. There were 56 men who signed the Declaration of Independence. We need to be the 56. We need to stand up and take this republic back. It's the only way that is going to happen. The only way that President Trump gets back into office is if we put him there. We have got to get involved. Now, we are surrounded by this chaos, this coalition of immorality, but we're also surrounded by good news. And there is abundant hope out there.
Right.
The school board, the gentleman here, Lance from the school board, is that right? Do I have your name right, Lance? Where are you, Lance? Did you leave? Or? Way to go, Lance. Forget Lance. No. In 2022, last year, because of people like Lance and you, 14 states outlawed critical race theory in their school curriculums. 14 states will take it. And they're throwing out the books. And they're not putting up with Storytime Drag Queen Showtime Hour. Right? We have Amanda. Amanda? Where are you, Amanda? Did she leave too?
She's right there.
Amanda, you are the most important person in this room. I'm telling you right now. You represent exactly what we need in here. We do. You are the most, not only are you also a very attractive woman, you're also the most important one in the room. We need young people. I was on the phone with Charlie Kirk this morning. Now, Charlie Kirk might come to Kansas City in November. That's what we were talking about. So let me segue into that. Get your phones out or take a note, because I'm going to give you some information that I want you to be able to keep at your disposal. Because of the show, and because of it, the last 3 years for me have been incredibly surreal on a number of levels. To think that a guy from Grandview High School who graduated in '81, way younger than Chuck, would have been able to do the things that I've done in the last 3 years, meet the people that I've met. But here's the thing. We are all in this together. Every one of us has a role to play in the recovery of our republic and restoring it to the divine providence of God. And I think that we're on the biggest cusp of the reawakening of the divine providence of God that this republic has ever seen, and that includes during the time of the Founding Fathers. I think we're right there. We're right there on the cusp of this great reawakening. I believe it. From what I see, and the people like you pulling me aside, I could be having a cup of coffee. I like what you're saying. I'm with you. I'm with you. We're all in this together. November 10th and 11th this year, November 10th and 11th, it happens to be Veterans Day weekend. I'm holding a conference. I hold these conferences at least once a quarter. It's called the Determined Patriotism Conference. That's one of the monikers of my show. We meet in determined patriotism, is what I say. And we meet, you and I, in determined prayer. So the Determined Patriotism Conference is November 10th and 11th in Kansas City. The exact location is to be determined. I'm working with some hotels this week. We're going to have that finalized. But you can go to this website, determinedpatriotismconference.com. determinedpatriotismconference.com. And you can get tickets there. Now, the guests, General Michael Flynn is going to be the highlight, the keynote speaker. And he wants to talk to people like Amanda and people like Lance, people like all of you. He wants to meet you. We've talked about this specifically. We're going to have a meet and greet. He's going to say hello, shake hands. Carrie Lake is supposed to be there. We'll have Don and Eric Trump will be there on the stage together. Don Jr. and Eric Trump. We will have Mike Lindell, I hope, was on the phone with him today. He's trying to work it out. We'll have Mel Kay. Many of you have heard of Mel Kay, podcaster. Dan Vandersfield. Christy Hutcherson, who does incredible work with trafficking down at the border, child sex trafficking. With the work that she does, I have to compartmentalize that because it's just so tragic, the work that she uncovers with these children and the drugs and so forth. We'll have a local sheriff. We'll have, if you all have a sheriff, I have a sheriff from the Kansas side. I'm looking for one from the Missouri side who is one of us, a constitutional sheriff who's not afraid to speak up about that kind of issue. We'll have people talk about health freedom, but we'll also focus on how we get involved in what it takes to reclaim the republic. So all of those guest speakers, you can see them at the website, determinedpatriotism.com. We're going to have it at a local hotel where everybody can stay. There'll be discounts on the hotel, and we'll have it in the conference room. That's it. The plan. We will release the location as soon as we have one under contract this week. So that's the main thing that I wanted to tell you. Spread the word about that. There's only going to be 500 tickets made available for this thing. 500. We purposely keep them small. We're not going to have an auditorium filled with multiple thousands of people because we have meet and greets that are very meaningful and very intimate. Some of you folks have been to the one that we do in Branson, Missouri. Yep, and it's very small, very intimate. You can get up close, meet the speakers, meet General Flynn, get an autograph if you want one, get a picture most certainly, and talk with them, ask them questions. We'll have a panel discussion, and we'll have a dinner on Saturday night, kind of a closing dinner, and some entertainment and so forth. Another number that, or a way that you can keep up with me is that if you text Doug to this number, 41372, 41372. This will return blessings. So this is a number whereby if you decide that you want to text Doug to that number, 41372, it will return to you some ways by which patriots like yourself are receiving health benefits from products or from banking. There's a banking crisis going on. I don't know if you've heard that or not. How to escape, and it gives you information about what to plan for. It's not a hard sell on anything. It's just information. But if you text Doug to that, there's a good team of people that are ready to give you some help with health and with finance, banking, and so forth in light of the banking crisis. If you want to keep up with the Clay Clark Reawaken America Tour, I'll give you that website as well. TimeToFreeAmerica.com. TimeToFreeAmerica.com. But you really want DeterminedPatriotism.com. That's the one you really want, because that's the one coming up in November. And I just encourage all of you, because the chaos that we're experiencing is done on purpose by this Communist Socialist Party. It's not an accidental thing. Whether you're talking about the border in the South, whether you're talking about the debacle that we saw happen in Afghanistan a year ago, whether you're talking about fuel prices, energy independence, the New World Order, and the Economic Forum, all of it, it's on purpose. And we are the remnant. And we have got to put an end to this coalition of immorality. And the only way that we do that is to bind together. One final thought, because a lot of the conversations about politics, especially with candidates in elections and so forth coming up, and the rhino problem that we have, there's a litmus test. Because the question ultimately is, how do I tell if somebody's a rhino? How do you tell, Doug? What's the answer to that question? Well, here it is. You ask anybody who's running for office or who's in office, do you support full forensic audits of every election that's ever happened, no matter who wins? Yes or no? And if they hem or they haw or they say no, that's a rhino and they need to go. It's that simple. It's a yes or no question. Full forensic audits. And she's right. Election day, not election month. Be one of the 56. Be one of the 56, the men who signed that Declaration of Independence and risked everything. What did they risk? What did they say at the end of the document? What did they pledge to each other?
Sacred life. Liberty or die.
They pledged their lives, their honor, and their very lives, their family, and their sacred honor. And almost every one of them, to some degree, lost all of that. And so stand and be one of the 56. DougBillings.us is the website, but I hope to see you in November. There is hope everywhere. Don't be seduced by the demon of cynicism and the demon of hopelessness, because they're real. They'll perch right on you. We can win this. God inspired this republic, and the founding documents that we have here are documents that are inspired by God himself and written by men. There's great hope in that. Don't forget it. God bless you all. Thank you.
That guy's a speaker, isn't he? You know, I'm gonna tell you something. He also has a really good singing voice. And he's a big time Elvis fan. So I saw this when he was out in Vegas. He and his son got up on stage and sang an Elvis song. Now, we don't have the words, I apologize, or the music.
Kind of show you run it.
I just got one question. When you talk to Donald next time, would you tell him I said hi? I tell you, I think I've told you this story once before. I had a dream.
Hold the mic up, please.
I had a dream, and I was standing here in front of way the people, doing my thing, telling everybody what's going on, and all of a sudden everybody just started clapping and hollering and hooting, and I'm going, what did I say? What did I, and then I turned around and Donald Trump was standing there. Did I tell you that? But, and I'm going, what a great dream. So, my friend gets to talk to Donald every now and then, just tell him to sit down. And whatever you want to do. If you want to sing a little tune.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, you don't have to sing along. Michael, do you want to sing with me?
Hey. All right.
This, we usually have the music. It's karaoke. Can we pull up YouTube on this thing? She let us, what's her name?
Lee,
can we use your computer?
That'd be great.
Now the expectations are really
Lee, do you know how to do it? Because I sure don't.
Just YouTube. Michael and I, while she's doing that, and thank you very much for letting us use that. The last Reawaken America tour, we had people in this tent in the desert. It was an air-conditioned tent, thank God. But I started to sweat like Elvis in concert, I tell you what. And we sang in front of 6,000. Michael is a huge Elvis Presley fan as well, and he's got the moves. And there you go. So, he is the young Elvis, I'm the old Elvis. And we sang this song because Elvis, of course, we said, who's the king of Las Vegas? Elvis Presley. So Elvis was the first concert I ever saw in my life. My dad took me when I was about 10. And so, all right, Michael. All right, Michael, you want to help me? Now, don't get your, everybody's got their phones out. Oh, no. Ready? This will be fun. Oh, I wish I was in a land of cotton. Old times they're hard, not forgotten. Look away, look away, look away, Dixieland. Oh, I wish I was. This is the background singers singing this play. In Dixie, away, away. In Dixieland, I'll take my stand to live and die in Dixie. Turn up the volume, Chuck. Jeez, you know, the Democrats have better equipment, I gotta tell you. Or in Dixieland, where I was born, early Lord, one frosty morn. Look away, look away, look away, Dixieland. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. You know what? I usually close with Michael in the speech when I put on in person. You know the Radical Left Coalition of Immorality that I was talking about? This Radical Left group that will try to convince children that it's okay to mutilate their genitalia and become a different sex, a different gender. We are perfectly created by God, the way that we are. And this young man with his 21st extra chromosome is perfect, just as he is created by God. He has the divine chromosome. It's as if God said, here's another little chromosome that takes away prejudice, hatred, it takes joy in the simple, they're almost always happy. The radical left can't wrap their heads around that. This shouldn't have to be a burden. You should be able to abort that baby, Doug. That's the radical left coalition of immorality that we face. And Michael's an example of how God doesn't make mistakes. And we all are designed perfectly by our Creator. Thank you for letting Michael.
You know, I thought that was going to work out that way because they all stood up and applauded in Vegas too.
I'm gonna bring scarves, I'm
Of course,
sweating
he
like
had the
hell.
long sideburns and the whole No, he didn't really, I'm just joking. But, you know, I love Elvis. You did it. You got a great Elvis. Oh, I appreciate that. I asked him ahead of time if I could ask him to sing, and he said that he could. Anything else? Anybody have anything else? Any comments? Donna? Anything else? I don't want to forget anybody.
I have a quick question. I see on Facebook the comments, don't comply. Does that mean anything or what?
Yeah, don't comply means when they tell you to put the masks on.
Oh, okay.
When they tell you you can't go in the store without a mask on. Don't comply. Well, the shot, and I need to say this, because in early 2020 we were all scared. A lot of people took the shot because of that. What bothers me mostly is that they made you take the shot. That's what bothered me mostly. And shame on them, because now they're starting to back up like a crawdad. So if you've had the shot, that's okay. Don't worry about it. We were all scared in 2020. However, I think Melinda Clark-Sand, she fights it all the time about the hospitals or the businesses that are making you take the shot. That shouldn't be happening. So, but when it says don't comply, they're gonna, trust me, an election year is coming up. They are going to bring out the playbook they brought out in 2020. They're going to try to scare everybody to death. They're going to say, you know, rampage of COVID's coming back, everybody wear your mask. And they're going to try to get the mail-in vote again. Guarantee you. Go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Lori Clark, and I'm a nurse practitioner. I work at Research Medical Center, and I cut that six-figure job, but I hung on as long as I could just to be somebody on the inside. And I want to tell you guys, COVID is that because of the election year, there's things happening in the hospital y'all need to be aware of. When do we give sick people vaccines? Okay, we had a lot change during that time to where when you get admitted to the hospital, they're trying to find out, are you going to need a vaccination during the hospital stay? It's taken away from the provider's hands, it's given right to the nurse. It's a protocol. It's all above us, it's all HCA. It's not the provider. It's taken out of our hand. So it's like, you know, just know your rights, know what's happening, know what Emergency Use Act is, know how long this medication's been around, and know, get your health toolkit ready. Have your health toolkit at home. You've got a toolkit for your car, get a toolkit for your health. You need ivermectin, you want hydroxychloroquine, what do you want in your toolkit? Have it at home. If you need to go to the hospital, you can put stuff in lotion. I'm just letting you know. Be prepared because it's happening right now.
Would you be willing to make a list of what would be good to have in the health toolkit and bring it next month?
I would be willing to do it. I think I'm supposed to speak next month anyway, and I have my cards over there. And I do build toolkits, I do telemedicine, I do IV, I come to your house. I literally went out on the streets helping people with some pharmacists, compounding stuff, just keeping people alive.
We look forward to you speaking next month.
Last month you said something, a comment about California being, I'll say this is one thing good about California is when you buy the house, the property tax stays where it's at. As long as you live there, it never changes. Is there any way we can get that in this state?
They're working on it.
Contact your legislator.
What he said is the state of California, the only thing I agree with them there is the price of the house. Whatever you bought it at is the taxes that you pay on. So I've got a friend on Coronado Island that has a 2-bedroom condo. She bought it for $75,000. She could sell it today for $3.5 million. She gets taxed for $75,000, and she bought it like in 1975 or 8. So, I mean, that's the only thing I like about California, other than their weather. I like their weather too, but we are getting taxed to death.
Right.
We're getting taxed to death. I don't know how else to say it. We pay taxes on everything. We buy our car again. If we own a car for the next 10 years, we bought that car twice, you know. It doesn't make any sense. There is a guy running for governor that is going to try to be like Florida, and he will be speaking in April or May here. I've already got him set up. His name's Bill.
Eigel.
Bill Eigel. Anyway. Hang on 1 second.
I did want to add on to Lee's point about Lee Summit. For those of you who are in Lee Summit, there is a downtown overlay district that they are looking at. First of all, they're looking to do an ADU ordinance, which would allow tiny houses in people's backyards. That just passed through the Community and Economic Development Committee. It's going to go on to the Planning Commission, although I've been watching and it hasn't shown up on the agenda yet. There's also an infill policy where they're saying you could build up to 3 houses on one lot without having to get public comment and public input. It would just be an administrative procedure through the city. So this era of not going to city council meetings, not paying attention to city council meetings, needs to be over. Also, don't forget these handouts. The levy rate hearing for the city of Lee Summit is September 19th. I apologize, I did not get all the cities, but the biggest part of your tax bill is the school district. So I was able to verify as many of the school districts as possible. The one thing, we're stuck with the Jackson County Legislature Democrats for 4 years. There are city council and school board seats up next year. So you can put pressure on these people. And even if you don't want to get up and speak at public comments, butts in the chairs and eyes on the people at the dais does make a difference. And so, especially, you know, look up who is up for re-election next year. We've got 4 seats. Well, we've got 1, Phyllis Edson is termed out, but we've got 3 people running for re-election that are currently sitting on the city council. So you know, they're going to be paying attention to what we the people are saying and doing, and so now is the time to show up. Thanks.
Donna Gordon has her finger on the pulse. There is no doubt about it. She works day and night on all of this and puts in the effort that none of us do. And I appreciate you, Donna. Thank you very much.
Does anyone in here know of a pure blood bank? Had a friend that needed a blood transfusion just 2 weeks ago, and we all offered her family and those that have pure blood. And when I say pure blood, I'm talking about no vaccinations. And where could we go? And found out through the blood bank. I called the Blue Springs Blood Bank, and she led me to call the one downtown Kansas City. And she said they had to go through all of this rigmarole and test the blood of all of the family members and all this kind of stuff. So I am interested in finding out, because if I need, or someone that I love needs, a pure blood bank, would someone please let me know? I appreciate it.
That's exactly what they call us that have not been vaccinated.
That's right.
Pure bloods.
That's right.
And just tell you about my daughter. My daughter has had COVID a couple of times, and she did not get the shot. She goes in and gets blood on a regular basis. and the blood bank was jumping up and down with all the antibodies that she had in her blood. And you know, and I've thought about this a lot. You know, you go to get blood, you're getting blood from someone that had the shot. It's convoluted, there's no doubt about that. Sean, Rick's got a question for you.
Sean, what's your opinion of the idea of Truman County?
I think it might help your grandchildren, to be honest. But if I think about how intertangled all of Jackson County is right now, we've got debt obligations, for example, that'll go on for the next 25 to 30 years. And if we were to separate from Kansas City and become a separate county, the idea that all of those things have to be negotiated to determine how responsible we are compared to Kansas City for this stuff, it's extraordinarily complex. Who's going to run the jail? Do we want to run the jail, or do we want them to run the jail? Like, neither of those sound like good options to me, right? Just on and on, the entanglement and how to get out of it. If people want to head that direction, I say go for it. Realize it's a long-term proposition by the time you're really separated. And in the meantime, don't quit the fight, because we are not that far from having better representation at the county level. There are people, there were 2 seats from a competitive perspective that had no competition in this last term, one of whom had been thrown out of the state legislature already. He became our chairman. Right? So just understand that these are not strong candidates they're putting forth. We need to find strong candidates that are electable in the districts, in specifically Independence and the Raytown area that includes some of Kansas City. And Lance will tell you how hard it is to run at large, but we weren't that far off on the at larges either, right? But we got to start sooner, and we got to be extremely united, and we were not always united, and we tend to still be So one of the hard parts about getting elected as a conservative is we're very independent thinkers. So if you have somebody you like and you have somebody you like, there's a primary, and then it's really hard for us to really unify afterwards. We got to get better about that. We're going to continue to whoop our ass.
To just do away with the at-large districts, if that's a possibility.
Charter changes for sure. I have a number of charter changes, and that includes.
The city represents everybody now, every city, and we could represent ourselves if we did not have at-large.
Yeah.
Okay, the preacher has gone, we can get rowdy. He heard me say that, I'm sure. Hey, we finished early tonight. We had a lot of information. I love the, pardon?
So I've had a question. My hand up for a long time. You just don't call.
I thought you already asked your question.
I had another one.
One question per person per night. What was it? What was your question? No, please. Come on.
I've heard that the flu shot will include the vaccine.
Yes. Yes, you're right. The mRNA will.
That does not surprise me at all. In fact,
No, I'm not kidding.
if you all go back in time, the flu wasn't even around, and there wasn't any flu in 2021. You know, it went to zero. Everything was COVID.
Or you don't get the flu shot.
But that does not surprise me at all. We do have health speaking next month. We're going to cover health. The young lady right there that talked to us earlier. So put it down. First Monday night next month. We'll be right here, 7 o'clock. Thank you all very much.